So there's few updates I prepared for you guys today when it comes to Xbox Activision Blizzard King acquisition. There's like 5 different topics I want to discuss today, and I've got them all written down here on this piece of paper. Very professional, as you can see clearly. So yeah, 5 different topics, so let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to discuss all things new when it comes to Xbox Activision Blizzard King acquisition. I mean, I'm sure you know that Microsoft officially acquired Activision Blizzard King. That was announced on Friday, but there's few very interesting updates on that, what's going on right now and what will be happening in the future. But before we discuss that, a quick announcement. Some of you probably noticed that I've been streaming on this channel a little bit. I'm not talking about like podcasts, but like, just me going live playing some games. But this is going to be a very good place for you guys to discuss a number of topics with me, so we can actually have a conversation while I'm playing the game. So you can ask questions, I can answer them, or I can dive deeper into certain topics, which obviously in like 10 or 15 minutes video I cannot really discuss everything, right? So hey, if you've got any questions, if you want to interact with me a little bit, if you've got if you want to have a chat, check these streams. I'll be having 2, maybe 3 streams per week, different times of the day, I'm afraid. So maybe I will come up with some schedule later. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so that's announcement done. By the way, don't forget to like and obviously subscribe to the channel if you happen to like that kind of content. So yeah, let's get in to the topics. 5 different topics, 5 updates. Okay, so we'll be talking about games, what's going to be happening with Bobby Kotick, Call of Duty, Activision Blizzard King remasters maybe, and some new IPs. So that's actually 5 different topics. So let's talk about when we will actually start seeing first Activision Blizzard games. Now, King games probably not, because they are mobile company. They just do mobile games, so you're not really going to see Candy Crush on Game Pass. I mean, at least not right now. There's no Candy Crush for Xbox, if you know what I mean. So, but when it comes to all these other games, and Activision Blizzard King has a ton of different IPs and titles. We're talking about games like Spyro, Tony Hawk's, they've got Crash Bandicoot games, well, Call of Duty games, Blizzard games like older Diablo games, things like Overwatch is free to play anyway, so I guess it doesn't actually make any sense. StarCraft, Warcraft, like older games, not necessarily World of Warcraft. So I think that some of these games we will actually see pretty soon. There's been even some rumors suggesting that we may actually see some announcements about first games coming, like even today or tomorrow. But don't expect all of these games, and don't expect the new games to be on Game Pass. So older titles like old Call of Duty games from Xbox 360, or maybe last generation Call of Duty games in Game Pass, sure. But I don't think that you will see all of these games added like in one batch, right? It would not even make much sense. So I think right now, because there's a lot of games to play anyway, I bet that they will actually add some older titles, and then maybe 2-3 weeks later or months later they may add another bunch, like maybe the last generation games, and like maybe in December they may add some games from this generation, like Crash games, remasters and that kind of stuff. So I mean that's just my opinion, but there's been some leaks and rumors suggesting that we may actually start seeing these some of their games like even this week. As for the latest titles, so Diablo 4, what did they release recently? Basically like latest Call of Duty games and all these titles. Don't expect these games this year, and that has been already announced by one of the Activision Blizzard employees. They did say that don't expect like Diablo 4 and these latest titles on Game Pass this year. So the latest games will probably have to wait until like next year, right? Some point next year. And like I said, they will be adding these games gradually. So it's probably going to take months. And really, Phil Spencer did say that a week or 2 weeks ago too. He did say that it's going to take them months to actually add all these games to Game Pass. But they will get there, and it kind of makes sense because it will keep the Game Pass alive. So like they will start with smaller titles, and they keep growing. And I mean, it's a pretty busy season when it comes to like games and stuff, so it doesn't make sense to add these biggest titles to Game Pass. So that's first topic done. Another one, let's talk about Bobby Kotick. This one is going to be quite quick because some people were wondering when will he be gone, and Bobby Kotick did speak about it, and he said that he will stay with Activision until end of this year. Just to help Phil Spencer and whoever is going to be dealing with Activision Blizzard King in the future on Microsoft side until like end of this year. So he will stay there to help Microsoft and Activision to transition under Microsoft wings, right? So clearly there's certain things that Microsoft don't know, and like it's all about like business strategy plans, maybe some operational plans, how things work, there and stuff. Microsoft needs to learn that anyway, right? Even though Activision Blizzard King will stay kind of independent, Microsoft owns them, but they will stay just like Bethesda. They will operate on their own kind of not necessarily rules, but they will be their own thing, right? I mean, Microsoft obviously will have the final saying on number of things, but still they will stay kind of independent. They still will have their own kind of budget, and they will have their own events, their own HR, their own marketing department and that kind of stuff. Just like, because they are not a developer, they are publishers. So the whole publishing arm is going to be separate to Xbox Game Studios, for example, right? And I think that's good because it's really difficult to kind of manage so many people, because like I think we're talking about like, I don't want to misspoke, but like I think we are looking at over 10,000 people working throughout the Activision Blizzard King, right? So over 10,000 developers and people working there. So that's a lot of people to manage. Okay, so that's Bobby Kotick done. He'll stay with Activision only until end of this year, and then he'll be gone. So yeah, there you go. He will get his golden parachute, and I guess it's going to be good for the company too. Okay, let's talk about Call of Duty, the latest Call of Duty games on Game Pass and stuff, and marketing rights. Now, some of you probably know, I mean, everyone really knows that Call of Duty marketing rights are with PlayStation right now, with Sony, because now the big question was how long for, right? I mean, obviously they did not prolong that latest contract, which was for a couple of years, and that contract ends with this year's Call of Duty game. You've already seen some adverts, and PlayStation had the early access earlier than Xbox and stuff. That's all has to do with the fact that Sony, PlayStation has marketing rights. They've got this marketing rights, and that's why they get extra stuff, content, and that kind of stuff, right? So they paid for that, and Microsoft will honor it for sure, right? Looks like you know what, it's actually too late to actually change that right now, in my opinion, anyway. So Call of Duty will not be in Game Pass, like the latest Call of Duty will not be in Game Pass day one. That's one thing. Second, you will still see Call of Duty adverts with PlayStation attached to it. That's not going to change this year. And next year, as in next year advertisements for this year's Call of Duty, right? Because that's where a big confusion comes from, because a lot of people, because we were not sure whether this marketing rights are for how long for. So it's confusing because it's not. The question shouldn't really be how long for they've got the marketing rights, but for which games, right? Because that's an important question, because even though PlayStation will have the marketing rights for only this year's Call of Duty, not next year's Call of Duty, but the marketing rights for this year's Call of Duty will be, they will have these rights even next year. So if there's going to be any DLC, any advertisements next year for this year's Call of Duty will still be with PlayStation. So, but when new Call of Duty comes next year, November probably, well, that game is going to be fully on the Xbox side, so marketing rights for Xbox, and it's probably going to be I would expect next Call of Duty to be day one in Game Pass, right? So I just wanted to throw this out because there was a lot of confusion surrounding it. I understand people got, I was actually confused at the very beginning, but yeah. So this year's Call of Duty is the last Call of Duty that will not be day one in Game Pass and will be with PlayStation when it comes to marketing rights, right? So, hey, we've got that out of the way. Now let's talk about some old and new games when it comes to Activision. So in one of the interviews, I guess, with Bobby Kotick, pretty much the same interview that he said that he will stay with company until end of this year. He did say that Microsoft will now be able to make some of the Activision Blizzard IPs remakes, remasters, right? So he's suggesting that Microsoft has some plans to make remakes. Now, two questions really, because remakes and remasters are totally different things, right? I mean, yes, they kind of make the game better, but you know what I mean. Because Bobby Kotick talking about remasters, and this is the thing I'm not really 100% sure of, whether he said remakes or remasters, right? But if they, they can be both really, right? Some games surely would require a remaster, right? Because like they even made Age of Empires, like Definite Edition remasters, right? They improved graphics and everything, right? Same game, but looks better and runs better, right? So that's a remake. But when it comes to remasters, it's just like a quick refresh, right? So, hey, make this game to run at 60 frames per second at 4K on Xbox Series X, you've got a remaster, right? But the thing is, Xbox has Xbox backwards compatibility, and they've got all these Xbox enhancements, right? Now, they were not allowed to make some of these games compatible, or they were not able to enhance them, right? So we're talking about the 4K enhancements and like FPS boost. But now, when they will own all these games, it's possible that not only we get some of these, older titles to be remade, but we may actually get FPS boost and 4K enhancements for some of these titles too. So these would be very easy and very quick to do, right? I'm not sure if that's possible for every single game, because that's probably not going to happen, but a lot of these games may actually get enhanced, right? So we're not talking about releasing new games, just updates for current games that are already backwards compatible, or they may actually add more games to backwards compatibility. Who knows, right? So we'll see how that goes. But clearly both are coming. So it looks like they are thinking about remaking some of these older titles, like new graphics and everything, and they are also thinking about updating some of these other games that some games that are still 30 or like run at 720p or something. They may get 4K and 60 frames per second enhancements, FPS boost, if you know what I mean. So that's the old games. Now let's talk about new IPs, because obviously it's going to be interesting to see how Microsoft is going to tackle IPs and exclusivity. Now we know with Bethesda that some games still going to be coming to PlayStation when it comes to Bethesda games, but they are looking at games that are online, and they are very into like social stuff, right? So basically whatever, big or multiplayer games like MMOs and stuff, that's all still going to be multi-platform. Like, so all these like Fallout 76 or Elder Scrolls Online, all these games will still be on PlayStation and they will be getting updates. But when it comes to Activision Blizzard, like, I guess we know that Call of Duty will stay multi-platform. That's not really going to change. So yeah, I mean, they are obliged to do it. But what about other games, right? Like, what about new Spyro or new Crash games? Are these going to be exclusive or not? That's going to be very interesting, because like if you really think about it, like Spyro and like Crash Bandicoot, they used to be a PlayStation exclusive, then they become multi-platform. So I think like we don't really know what's going to happen with these ones, right? So they are not really new IPs. They will be new games, because I think that those that have already been announced, and I think that there was one like a Crash Racing game announced already. So I would imagine that this would stay multi-platform. But I think that games that like hasn't been announced just yet potentially could become exclusive, and I think it's more about like adding more value to Game Pass with these smaller titles, right? So that's one thing. But so we still don't know on that really. But when it comes to new IPs, these will be exclusive. For example, that new I forgot the name of it, like this new Blizzard game. Is it like New Odyssey or something like that? That new survival game that they announced that they are working on, because they needed to announce it because they need more people to work on it. So we don't really know much about this game. We know that it's going to be a survival kind of game. It's a new IP, totally new IP, and that game will be exclusive. So pretty much new IP like Starfield, that's going to be exclusive. But also, I think that if ever they decide to make any of these proper PC games to come to consoles, so StarCraft or World of Warcraft or Warcraft, these games would be exclusive too, for sure, because they were never on PlayStation, they were never on Xbox. So making them only Xbox PC exclusives would not harm, the PlayStation customer base, in a sense that, we are taking something away. And to be honest with you, let's face it, Microsoft has no issues taking some of these titles away from PlayStation crowd anyway, because they did that already. Redfall had been developed for PlayStation, but they stopped it, right? Starfield, there was a PlayStation version too. They stopped PlayStation version. They made it exclusive, right? We know that new Elder Scrolls 6 will be Xbox PC exclusive too, and previous Elder Scroll games were on PlayStation, right? So I think it's going to be I mean, any single player games probably will be exclusive to Xbox because it makes sense, because they will want to bring way more gamers to Game Pass, while games that rely on multiplayer, heavy social kind of games, I think they may consider some of these games multi-platform, right? So yeah, guys, so that's all I wanted to say, and I just wanted to put all that into one video. It's a long video, I know, but there's, I had quite a lot of people asking me these questions, so I just wanted to address them in one video. By the way, like I said at the very beginning of this video, I will be streaming twice, maybe 3 times a week, where you will be able to ask me questions. So just consider these streams as a Q&A kind of sessions, right? I'll be there playing games. You can throw some questions at me and I'll try to answer them, because sometimes I try to be active in the comments, sometimes I reply to comments and stuff, but it's not the same interaction where you ask, I answer a question 2 days later when I've got time and stuff. So while during this live streams, it's a really live interaction. So you ask question, I answer straight away, and you can answer some additional questions. Because when you live, you can really explain. I can explain myself better, if you know what I mean. Not with short comments somewhere, right? So guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, check my streams too. I will try to announce them maybe an hour, 2 hours earlier. So be on the watch for those announcements. I'll probably stream today. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, guys, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.